What's up, guys, and welcome back to the podcast. This week we have young gun Riley Yeatman on the show. He's an absolute up-and-coming star if he's not already one. We do talk about a lot of things, the main one being that he just signed a contract with a Major League Baseball organisation over in the States, the San Diego Padres. Super grateful to have him on. I did think he was going to be a little bit more, I guess you could say, cocky, that he is so young and he's been so successful already, but he just was the total opposite, super down to earth, and I'm just, super grateful to have had an hour with him to chat and get all the information out of him that you guys can hear. We talk about, I guess, his junior days through to his Super League days and his state team days and his international days, everything you could ever imagine, all the way to now signing with a Major League Baseball organisation. Again, super grateful to have him on. We have some funny stories towards the end that someone may have dobbed him in for. His dad and his younger brother were sitting in the behind the camera, and there's a bit of interaction towards the end. It gets really funny. So stick it around. I hope you enjoy. And again, super grateful to have him on. Let's get it. Riley Yeatman, pleasure, mate. Welcome on the podcast.
Thank you.
Super pumped to have you on. A bit about yourself. Obviously, baseball background. That's why I've got you on. You had a big recent signing in your life, which is super exciting. We'll talk about that. But first, how's your Christmas?
Yeah, it was not bad. I just had a chill one with family and my girlfriend's family, but that was about it.
Yep. New Year? Anything much?
Nah. Got back from camping pretty early, so didn't do much at all.
I hear you're a pretty innocent guy.
Yeah.
Didn't get on the beers or anything like that, mate?
Innocent, yep.
Yeah, nice and innocent. Beautiful. So you went away for a week, did you?
Yeah, so we went to Port Gibbon for a couple of days.
Yep.
Just to go forward drive and just camp and just
live beauty.
life.
No, awesome. So busy year.
Very busy.
Massive year. What we'll do is we'll talk about your sort of baseball journey to start with, and we do have some stories towards the end that I've got someone to dob you in on a few of them, so that's a bit of fun. But to start with, talk us through your really young junior days. So we're actually set up here at East Torrens Baseball Club. Was this always your home club? Was it your main interest, or was it other sports?
So basically, ever since I was born, Dad's played here and he's played at other clubs, so I was basically here from when I was first born, and basically just been here all my life, just love the club.
Was there any other sort of sports? You play footy?
I played soccer growing up, but then sort of started getting more serious into baseball and just started to let go of soccer and focus more on baseball. Yeah,
awesome. School life, how did you sort of balance that? Were you? See, I was sort of super into my sports, and I went, I'll let the academic side slide a little bit for a little while. Then I went, being a professional is actually not super likely. Obviously not in your case, you just succeeded at that. But did you sort of let that slide a bit, or were you always on top of your academic side?
Basically, primary school I was on top of school. Then high school, just doing like all the sports, just like mixed netball, European handball, just basically doing all the sports that was up for grabs. And then, then last year was sort of, I knew that, because I signed in February, so at the start of the year of school, I knew that I would be going any time, so I kind of had to knuckle down my work. But then sport, just school sport was more like that's what I wanted to do, because I just love sport. Yep. So that was more that I just wanted to do instead of schoolwork. And
I saw, I can't remember off the top of my head, because I was going to let you sort of explain it, but there was a school sports award recently. Can you run me through that?
So that was basically for like what I've done in my baseball career. Just you find like your teacher or like one of your coaches just to nominate you, and basically just put down like what you've achieved in that. So it's just against all the other sport people in Adelaide for that award. And
I'm pretty sure your old man accepted it.
Yeah, he did. He went up there for me.
Say something good about you or what?
I don't think there was any speeches. I think I heard from a couple of my girlfriend's friends that were there that they didn't recognise. They thought it was me, but it wasn't. But I'm not fat, and so I'll be right.
Yeah. All right, we're talking state teams. We'll talk a bit more about local after, but we're jumping straight to state because you've been pretty successful, especially through your juniors. When was the sort of first state team? What age group? And were you there sort of every year till now?
So I did. First year of state was under 16s in 2018. So I was the youngest. So I had 3 years in 16, so I was 15 maybe, and everyone else is 16, 17. So that was a good experience, just playing with all the older guys that now are playing Div 1, and some of them are the Giants, just learning off them. And then my second year, I was probably one of the only ones that was still in 16 that ever went up. So I was basically like the role model to everyone. And then last year, we didn't have a 16s under competition. So then this year I was meant to be 18s, but that got cancelled and everything. So, yeah.
Yep. And so charter, there's a difference. So if anyone doesn't know charter baseball, it's not your South Australian team. It's sort of split up between two in South Australia. What was the difference in comp? Because I did play a little bit of charter myself. I was never in a South Australian state team, but the charter was still like a competitive level. How did you find that compared to being in the best of SA?
Basically, you're trying out with your clubs around your area, so you're playing with your mates, and you don't really take it as seriously as you would with state because you're just like all know each other.
Yep. But
it's definitely a big step from charter to state because it's more competitive in state than it is charter, and there's a lot more teams. But in state, you're playing the best of every state, so it was good to have good competition.
Yeah, unreal. So you've played fair few charter, fair few state. Explain the locations of where you were and your favourite and why that was your favourite.
So under 13s was in Lismore, that's like Queensland, New South Wales border. So I went there for 2 years, and then under 15s was here in Adelaide. Then 16s was 2 years was in Sydney and one was in Geelong. And then I went for under 17s, charter was in Lismore again. So I'd probably have to say probably Sydney was the best one for the state.
Yep, and we'll get to the international side a bit after because I'm assuming that's going to probably be a bit more favouritism towards that as your favourite sort of location. But back to local ball, there's been something in recent years, Super League. I don't know how much you've actually played of it. I did see a few highlights the other day when I was doing a bit of background research, but you did chuck a little bit in there. What's that done for you, and what's it done overall for baseball in South Australia?
It's definitely helped a lot of guys because they film it, so a lot of you can send videos to college scouts, pro scouts, but it's just good you're playing with the same thing as charter. You're playing with guys around your area and playing with mates, and I think it's just more fun. It's more relaxed than you normally would play on a Saturday where it's more competitive. But Super, it was a lot more relaxed, and you just go out there, throw 30 pitches, and then just relax and just have fun. Yeah, a bit
more of a chilled back sort of vibe. That's cool. Difference between a young lad, Darcy Barry. I played a bit of baseball with him. He sort of signed to go to college. Talk us through the difference between signing to go to college and obviously what's happened in your situation. And if your situation didn't happen for you, is that something you were going to be interested in doing?
Yeah, so definitely. Well, Darcy's an absolute stud. He's the same size that he was when he was 15 or something, but he's still getting bigger and stronger. It's a good opportunity for him because he had it both ways as well, I think, with signing or going to college. But I think he chose the right route because he's good in school. And with me, I didn't really like school. So once I got this opportunity, I was still talking to colleges before I signed, but I've always grown up trying to be a Major League Baseball player, so I went with that route.
Yep. Awesome. It's going to sound very obvious, but you're going to be living the absolute dream of what you've dreamt for since you were obviously born and started playing baseball for the first time. This came, I believe, just from obviously being on an international stage. Talk us through that. I think it was Australian and under 12s and 15s World Cups. Yep. So what was the selection criteria? You make some friends. Where was it? Just explain the whole lot because it's something many people don't get to do.
Yeah.
Go through that.
So under 12 World Cup, they basically picked the team from the charter that was held in Lismore with all the states. And then, so the head coaches are out there looking, and you didn't really hear from the head coach until, maybe 4 weeks before we left. So you basically, and I really didn't know about that there was under 12 Australian there. We just got this random email one day saying you made the under 12 Australian team. You're heading to Taiwan. So it was definitely I was very surprised because I didn't really go that well that tournament.
Yeah.
but I think it was more like how you are off and on the field more than how you're playing as well.
And so you're like 11, 12 years old
Yeah.
at this point. So what are you, year 7 or something like that at that point?
Yeah, it would have been like year 7 still in primary school, yeah.
So what's that initial reaction? So obviously your parents have just gone, Riley, you're playing for Australia. What's the build up? You go to primary school, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
How's everyone reacting? Like, did it hit you or?
Well, I was sitting in my room when I found out. My parents called me out saying, we got some news to tell. I thought it was just going to be something stupid. And they're like, you've made the under-12 Australian team. So you basically couldn't tell anyone for the first maybe 2 weeks because they were still working out they were still weighing on replies and that.
Yep.
And then basically, I didn't really tell people at school because they were just made fun of me or something like that. But I really kept on the down low. Then as I was getting closer, I started talking about it more with my PE teacher because he loves sport as well. And then that basically just hit that. A week later, I was flying out to somewhere I've never been before, never flew international, with a bunch of 12-year-old boys and, going overseas.
Yeah, it's a massive... When I went for the under 12, 13, just charter teams, I remember that was my first time on a plane.
Yeah.
And that was just the Gold Coast, and I was like freaking out, like this is crazy. So I could not even imagine being 11, 12 going to Taiwan. Under 15s, what's the difference in level like? Did you play more games when you got to under 15s? Were you more developed, or were you sort of in that main core group the whole way?
So basically, I think there was 4 of us that went from the under 12 World Cup into 15. So there was 4 of us that knew each other. Then we kind of going through like charter and that you make friends along other states. So like once someone makes a team, you like communicate with them. But yeah, I think definitely they picked the team from the under 16 state team. So it was basically, we played our 16 state in Sydney. Then basically they picked the team on the last day. Then the next day we flew out to New Zealand, did our qualifiers against New Zealand, and then came back, and then they were still figuring out, they did like a little camp thing with more players just to pick up. And then 4 weeks later headed to Atlanta for a week just to do like training camps and play against like older guys. And then we flew to Panama and played in the World Cup.
Yep, that's crazy in my eyes, obviously, because being a baseball background, seeing so many guys you play with now, or you played with, succeed, it's just obviously a dream come true for you. Lifelong friends, has anyone reached out to you since, which we'll talk about soon, you're signing, even guys you were in World Cups with, some of those guys may have been signed as well. How's that been? Have you communicated, or has it kind of just been, separate states, separate sort of...
Yeah, so basically on the last 4, there was 3 guys from Sydney and me. So I signed with the Padres, and another guy signed with St. Louis Cardinals, another guy signed with Pittsburgh Pirates, and another one committed on a full ride to Stanford College University. So it was definitely when the first person signed, we all like communicated saying like congrats on that, and like then he was like, hopefully it's like one of yous one day. Then the next one signed, and then it was like basically they were like to me, you've got to like just work your ass off. And then all of a sudden it happened. Last signed. So we can communicate. Like I'm seeing one guy next week in Melbourne when we play Melbourne versus the Giants, so we gotta catch up with him. Yep.
And that brings me to the next part of sort of your journey, which is Giants. Used to be called the Adelaide Bite, now renamed back to the Giants. Is there a pathway for you guys, we would say the young elite of the South Australian competition? Is there sort of a pathway, or do you just get noticed through club ball? What is that, and what really is Giants baseball?
Giants baseball, basically the big leagues in Australia, so it's basically our highest competition for like men.
It's like the Adelaide Crows, pretty much.
Yeah. So then, basically, most of it's like local guys, but then we get guys in from like affiliations in the US that come over and play for the season. But it's good for like us local guys that we can just like pick all the guys that have been in the minor leagues that are signed, and then like our head coach now, he's one of the head coaches in the minor league system, so like he talks to their people about some local guys here, so it's just basically, and there's other teams that there's like head coaches with, so just goes around and just shows.
Yeah, unreal. Who is, I guess it's going to be a pretty tough question, but the best guy you've kidded up with from Giants?
Oh, I'll probably say Luke Williams from last year. He made his MLB debut this year, and his first at bat he hit a walk-off home run. So it was just like, I got chills watching the video over and over again, because like you just put this whole time during the summer, you just play with him, hang out with him, train, and for him to do that in a season, just get called up and hit a bomb, it just gives you chills.
That's unbelievable. All right, I'm gonna be a bit ready off the laptop here, because I did see something that I was a bit stunned with. As a 16-year-old, you were part of the Adelaide Giants training roster, which, for a 16-year-old, that's pretty unbelievable. It's in terms, you get drafted in footy when you're pretty much 18, you're leaving high school. As a 16-year-old, you're still in year 10, year 11. Massive effort from yourself. But for the playoff roster, you didn't actually meet the minimum age limit. So only 17 players and older are eligible in the ABL, and your 17th birthday was on the 12th of February, the same day of the final game of the season. True?
Yeah, very true.
Very true. And what was that like for you mentally? So you're probably, as a successful player, you've got to be a bit cocky. You've got to be up yourself. You're probably sitting there thinking, if I got the chance, I could handle this as a 16-year-old. What's that like for you mentally, not being allowed to play because of your age?
Well, I'd say this time last year I found out that I was going to Brisbane and actually playing in games. So flew out and then trained and everything was fine. And then after training, the head coach and the general manager pulled me up. And it was like, there's a rule saying you can't play because you're 16. So then we were there for a week and that, because everyone was like behind me saying like, you're going to do well in this. And then all of a sudden they told me that, and I just basically just hit a brick wall, because like I was over there doing what I love and just not being able to play, just sitting on the bench every day. And like we had some like very good wins, and just like knowing I could have been a part of like in that game, just it kind of hit me. And then we came back here for the Adelaide hub, just still sat on the bench, but it was just good to be back home and like have all the fans, supporters just cheering you on. And then basically I was at school, it was at my recess break, and I got a call from the head coach, and I'm like, what's he calling about? And like my birthday was that Friday, and the playoffs, so I got a call saying we found out some news that you can play. So basically answered that call, finished that call, basically straight on the phone to my dad. So I'm going to Melbourne this weekend. Then went to Melbourne, lost the first game a lot to nothing. And then played Canberra just to stay in the like playoff contention, and then all of a sudden after that game, Melbourne was going to a lockdown.
Yep.
So we basically, on my birthday, it was a shitty day. We lost by 1 run, and then found out going in Melbourne going to lockdown, so we had to fly back to Adelaide the next day. So we didn't basically finish the ABL season, but it was just a good experience just being with all the guys and just learning and picking their brain.
Yeah, definitely. So COVID, it has affected most sports in some sort of way. How has it affected your run at just building up your confidence, playing in teams? Like, have you had to stop? Obviously, in that case, you went to lockdown. Has the ABL, I did hear news that it was not obviously being played this year. How's that affected you and guys that, might be coming up looking to get signed, just like yourself?
Yeah, I think it helped that we still had local ball to go to. So even though ABL wasn't happening, we still could come out on a Saturday, basically put all the effort in, and I think it's just hurt some guys, because I might have been there last year in the ABL that might be retiring, so they didn't get to really finish the way they wanted to. But I think this year that ABL season's not going ahead, we're still playing games against all the other teams, just like little friendly games that
exhibitions.
We still games. So we still get to like put our work in and get videos out for pro scouts that kids want to go to. Yep.
Awesome. We'll go back to sort of, it's going to probably relate more to the Giants than anything. The likes of Josh Tolles, Jack O'Loughlin, and recent breakout absolute gun, Curtis Mead. How have they influenced you? Have you been sort of in contact with them since you've signed? How was it sort of growing up, especially Curtis? I played with Curtis. I always looked up to him. He was always a year older than me, and he just took off, and now he's absolutely killing it over in the States. How have you sort of looked up to them, and how they influence you?
Definitely Jack O'Loughlin. When he signed, and just any time I saw him, we always talked about pitching and like what was working for him and that. And then Curdy, because I grew up just like watching him as well. and because Dad was the Adelaide North coach when it was Adelaide South, so I was there watching him. And then, basically when he was on the Adelaide Bright before I was a Giants, just watching him as a same 16-year-old, just making his way up through, and then got signed. And then I saw him when I was over in the States this year during the Arizona Fall League, where he just had an unbelievable little tournament, and spoke to him, and he said that he was basically just doing everything that he could just to stay on the field every day, stay healthy.
Yeah, unbelievable. Sort of more about probably Curtis than anyone, just because I've got a bit more relation to that. He sort of started, explain to us, because a lot of people watching might not know in depth about baseball in the States. What are the sort of rankings? Where will you start? Where will you potentially go to?
Yeah.
Sort of where has Curtis gone to in comparison to yourself? Talk us through that.
So in the minor league system, there's rookie ball, so it's basically your first, whoever just signs their first year, and then there's low A, which is sort of the next step. That's people got drafted middle of the year that come from college, they just go straight into that. And there's high A, double A, then triple A, then the big. So it's a big step up to massive from rookie ball all the way to the bigs.
Yep. So I guess in comparison again to AFL, you've got club footy, you've got sample footy, and then you've got AFL.
Yeah.
There's a lot more process in baseball. What sort of what's the process? So if you say go over there, you play really well, how long would it generally take for you to maybe jump to that next level? And do they quickly just go bang, you're moving up, or is there a big process, or what's the go with that?
So basically what I've heard, Curdy with his situation, that he was basically in high A and basically was doing really well there. Then the big league third baseman got injured, so the triple A third baseman went, and Curdy went all the way from high A, just skipped double A straight to triple A. So it's basically that you just get, your head coach gets a phone call saying this guy wants to move up, and you're basically leaving that day, going to play the next day in the new team. And
what's it like games wise compared to other sports? How often are you playing? How many games are there in a year? Do you know all that sort of info?
I know. I think in the minor league there's 130 maybe.
Yeah. But
you're basically playing nearly every day. You have a couple of days rest, and you're basically playing every day.
Yeah. And really, for someone like you, someone that loves the sport, that's just a dream, really. You'd rather play more than less, and it's going to develop you. And I guess that's the difference with other sports. You might play once a week. All right. About the big news, obviously, is your signing.
Yeah.
You've got the shirt on San Diego. When did they sort of start chatting to you? For anyone that doesn't know, this is a major league organisation. Not many people get the opportunity, and not many people get the opportunity to sit down with someone that's, I guess I can say, you're my first professional baseball player on the podcast. When did San Diego start chatting to you? So when did they sort of chat to you and first look at you?
So they first looked at me at the Under-15 World Cup in Panama. They saw me there, and then they didn't really communicate with me. Then the last day of the Adelaide hub for the ABL last year, Dad got a phone call saying that they want to offer me a contract out of the blue. And so I found out in between games, and then sort of wasn't able to say anything, so I had that in my head. And then
so when did you find this out? In between games?
Yeah, we had a double header that day. We found it in between games. Yeah, for the Giants.
The Giants.
I found out in between games, eating lunch.
You've got to have told someone, one person. You had to.
No, I didn't really tell anyone because we wanted to keep it on the down low instead of it spreading. So then we didn't really hear from them. We said we'll think about it, and then didn't hear from them until maybe late January, early February, offering another contract with more money. So then basically we just kept on saying no till we got the right offer. Then I was after the Melbourne series with the lockdown, was in quarantine, and that's when we made the deal that I was going to be a San Diego Padre.
Yep. Awesome. Unbelievable. Again, it's what kids dream of. Would have been a massive and a huge exciting time. I did see an interview with Baseball SA at a Super League game. You've gone over and had your first sort of taste. Wasn't any ball being played, but what was that sort of involving? What did you do over there?
So it was basically sort of like an extended season for guys that were injured, like just got drafted or new guys that they're bringing in. So you basically just work out and then play like little games against other organisations in your area. So it's just a lot of training, working out, and just getting to know everyone, like all the different coaching staff, all the medical people, gym guys, and then like all the people like backstage that you don't really see, and then just making faces and making friends for the future.
Yeah. General life, what's it been like since you're coming back? Obviously, you're walking around the baseball club, your home ground. People are obviously going to be congratulating you and all that. Have you been humble, or are you gonna walk around like you're the big man, as a lot of people
I don't
would?
really wear any of my San Diego gear around like people. I just wear it when I'm working out and that. But normally at the club, I just stay myself and like just talk how I'd normally speak before I signed.
Yep. So you're obviously back here now. Towards the end of the potty, we'll talk about your next sort of year or two. But what's it like? Do you know any sort of info at the moment about how long you'll be living over there when you sort of come back for holidays?
So it's roughly 8 months I'll be over there for. So we don't really know when I'm heading back over. Probably around end of February, early March, and then be there till October, November sort of times. But yeah, definitely going to be a big challenge just not being with your family every day and just being by yourself and playing the game that you love though.
Have you had a taste of that yet? Sort of being out of home for a decent period of time, because obviously you're still massively young. Are you prepared for it? You're obviously going to be able to do it because you live in your dream. But any challenges you think you might sort of face being away from family?
Probably just not being there to talk to them if something's happening and that.
Yep.
Just and it's different time zones, so when I'm awake, they're asleep. So just making sure that.
So you mean waking your parents up is what you're saying?
So basically, just communicating with them every day, and yeah.
Yep. Has it hit you yet? Simple question, but hard answer.
I think when I went over there for 2 months last year, at the end of the year, it definitely hit me because they were basically like, you're going to be going, but we don't know when. And then you've basically got a 2-week time frame that you're going to be going. And I started I just felt just getting nervous. I didn't know how I was going to go. And then all of a sudden I was walking home from the gym and Dad got a phone call saying you're leaving tomorrow night. And I was like, and that's when it hit me. I just started, walking around saying fuck all, packing all this shit. So yeah.
As a junior, you can be pretty slack with any sport, diet, training, all that. Were you always, I know from what your old man was saying, you don't sort of drink, you don't do a lot of that sort of stuff. What was your training schedule like as a youngster compared to sort of now? Have you got a training schedule? Just run us through day by day. What does it take to sort of be a professional baseball player?
Probably as a junior, it was training twice a week, just on a Tuesday, Thursday, then play on a Sunday, and that was it. And then basically going up through the years, basically just knowing that I wanted to be a professional, just training every day, just doing stuff for my little stuff for my brother, and then now it's working out every day, throwing every day, then coming out here doing training twice a week with Giants twice a week, and then playing on a Sunday. So you don't really get any rest, but I love it.
Yep. Gym work. Do you sort of, as a baseballer, is that a big part, or are you sort of more concentrate on the skills and execution?
I think definitely for me it's the gym work, just getting bigger and stronger and just putting on some muscle and not making myself look like a scrawny white boy when I go back over. So basically just putting muscle on and just, it definitely helped me with my velocity and that if I put some more muscle on, and yeah.
Yep. Sort of, I guess it's an obvious thing that when you move up into different ranks, whether it be club to state to Giants to minor leagues, the intensity is going to be different. How have you sort of handled that? Because it's obviously happened pretty bloody quick for you. How have you handled it? Did you see a massive difference when you did go to different leagues and rankings, or did you sort of handle it pretty comfortably?
I think with my first year as seniors here at my local club, I was a bit all over the place. I was going up and down grades. I thought all the pressure was on me and all the weight was on my shoulders. So I don't know, these last couple of years, I've taken all the weight of just basically just having fun. And then Giants, it's definitely a big sell because you're playing guys that have played in the ABL for 5 or so years, and 20s, in their 20s, and I'm only 16, 17. So yeah, and then going into be like, these are the best players that like are in the States, in the like Dominican and all that, where you're basically just faced with a bunch of guys that like love the same thing and you're doing and just love the game.
Yep. I still just can't get over it, like how old you are for what you've sort of been through, going around internationally, state teams. Expensive run, mate. I hope you're saying thank you to your dad.
Expensive.
I'll tell you that much. Injuries. We haven't sort of talked about it, but have you had any major injuries, minor injuries along the way?
I haven't really broken any. I haven't broken a bone ever.
Touch wood.
So
Jesus,
yeah, no
touch
joke.
wood.
Nah, but I think over the last couple of years, I've just like throwing a lot, so my elbow just like hasn't been like really major. It's just like just overuse, so I just need like breaks and that. But there hasn't really been any like major injuries, and that's just been like little ones.
Yep. Dad, mum, brother, sister.
Yep, sister.
Big supports, obviously. Competitive growing up. I do have a classic story we're going to get to in a sec that I'm keen about. But how have they been for you? Like a massive support. Obviously, I've got a brother as well. It's always good being competitive. They push you to the extra limit. Bit younger than you, but I'm sure he's just as competitive. How's your mum and dad and your brother and sister been for you support-wise?
Well, Dad's been basically was my coach nearly all through juniors, so we always had arguments sometimes on game days, but when I wanted to play a position, he wouldn't put me there. But yeah, he's definitely supported me and pushed me a lot. Like, over especially these last couple months that I've been back, I've kind of just slowly eased off it, but now I'm leaving in a couple of months. I need to start pushing again. So it's basically you need to do like just work out more. And then Mum, she's always been there. Like she just really didn't grow up around sport. Dad kind of brought her into the baseball, but she loves coming out supporting me and my brother. And then my brother, we're always at each other.
So if anyone doesn't know, we have got the brother and old man behind us. So I can see a few smirks going around. There's a bit of competitiveness just talking about it. Let's go footy. You or your brother, who's better? I'm going to give you a few sports and I want you to be honest. I want you to be brutal. Who's better? Footy.
I think it would be me because he grew up playing. He played for 2 years, won a premiership, then he stopped playing. But I think I would have to say me. He could lay a tackle. I couldn't lay a tackle or get a tackle. I could just kick goals and that's about it. But yep. I think me in footy.
Baseball's pretty hand-eye coordination. We're talking tennis. Who's winning? And hey, if you want to feel free to say you for every sport, I'm not going to argue with you.
I don't know. I think me and my brother would just hit the shit out of it, like a baseball. So I don't know with that one.
This will be brought up after, but golf.
Oh, definitely my brother for sure. Yep. I played it 2 days last week. I was absolutely horrible.
Yep. All right, we're going Thursday night. We're going for a bowl in the alley.
I don't know. I think that might be my brother as well.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say baseball because obviously your brother's a bit younger and he's got a big future ahead, I'm sure. But I think we'll let you claim the baseball area for now. All right, let's talk the next year or two. What does it look like for you? You're obviously heading back to the States. It's really playing on your head, you know, what your future holds. Run us through the next sort of year or two.
So go over for spring training, which basically everyone in the organisation's there. Then we all split up into our what leagues are in and that, and then basically just play for nearly 4 months maybe, and then do the instructional if they need you to stay back, and then go home, then do your off season, then basically just go back and do the same thing, and hopefully
just live the dream, really.
Yeah, basically go up another level the following year, but we'll have to wait and see.
3 years, where do you hope to be, sort of in that ranking? Be hard on yourself. Obviously, it's a tough world, tough game. What's realistically and what's your goal for the next sort of 3 or 4 years as you still develop?
Hopefully, in the next 2 years, I'm playing like low A, high A, just going up and that, and hopefully play a couple games in double A. But I just got to work my ass off and basically just focus on myself and all my skills that I need to do. Yep,
definitely. And obviously, the main goal is to make the majors, as everyone would. All right, enough baseball talk. Let's get a few stories out to end the episode. Instructs. Does that ring a bell? What is it Instructs? Am I pronouncing that right?
Instructs,
What is that?
So basically just like extended season for like the guys that got drafted.
Oh, that's in the States.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So, a conversation. You've gotten advice by a man, Trevor Hoffman.
Oh, here we go.
And you had no idea who he was. True?
Yeah.
Yep. He's one of the best closing pitchers. And he's in the Hall of Fame. You didn't know who he was.
I did know who he was. I just don't really know from back then.
And what's he telling to you? So he's obviously talking to you. You're this young kid that's probably thinking, I'm the man, and you don't really know who he is. You do, but you don't.
Yeah.
I could put myself in the situation. Did you feel a bit sort of like an idiot after when you did find out? Or
Yeah, because then I was rooming with his son.
Yep, so that was the next
Yeah.
part. So did you have the conversation with his son?
We didn't really talk about his dad. We just talked about just random shit like NFL and that. But yeah, it was pretty awkward when I found out it was his son. I was like, why Hoffman? Hoffman rings a bell. And then all of a sudden his dad told me, I was like, man, this might be his son. I had to search him up on Google and everything. I was like, oh shit, it's his son. I was like, oh no. And then Josh Spence, who's a pitcher, goes to Giants, played with him. So I was like, oh, I know Josh Spence now. He's like, yeah, he's funny as hell. And yeah, it was pretty awkward when I found out. And then his brother was there. I had no clue about it either.
Yeah.
It was not a
good situation to be in, really. All right, world's worst boat ride on a day off when you went internationally. Does it ring a bell?
No.
World's worst boat ride on a day off. Old man, can we come in? Where was it? Panama?
Oh yeah, that was.
Do you get sick? Like motion sickness?
Nah.
What was wrong with it? Why was it?
Oh yeah, we were in a little tinny, and it was there was 6 of us, maybe 8 of us on this little tinny.
Yep.
And we're going through this water. We don't know what's in it. There was big tree trunks, logs, and everything, and we had no clue what this guy was saying.
Yeah.
And they do whale watching. I was like, whales there. And we didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
Go out there, and we went to this island. It was pretty sketchy.
Thought you might lose your life on that.
Yeah,
in that moment.
There's just chunks of logs in the, and we hit one. We're like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? Cranks up the motor again. We're back on. I was like, nah, I can't do this.
Get me out. All right, in the school holidays, I like to visit Nana and Grandpa, and I like to go to the movies. I like to bowl. You like to play a sport against your Nana.
Oh, croquet.
Croquet, yeah. Talk us through it. So, I did hear, and this is probably one of the funniest stories I probably heard. Do you come out champion most games, or? And come on, I'm not going to take a wrong answer here.
It just depends how I'm playing. Sometimes I'm absolutely horrible. Some days, but.
How old's Nana? Can I ask?
84, yeah.
So you'd be pretty embarrassing to lose to an 84-year-old.
Yeah, well, she goes on my sister's side because my sister's pretty uncoordinated, but I think it's more like me and my brother just go at each other.
Yeah.
And we always argue whose shot it is and what the shots are and that.
Yeah. No, definitely. I can definitely relate to that. Nearly killed a guy at the driving range. Poor bloke, apparently, was just trying to pay for his bucket. Run me through the situation. So you're lining up, and I know you're not good at golf because the next one's going to lead into the golf topic.
Oh, no.
You're lining up. Just talk me through what's going through your head. You swung, and what happened?
So it was a stupid idea. We were set up right next to where everyone was paying. Don't know why we did that. And he was wearing a Golden Grove Dodgers hat. That's another baseball team here in Adelaide. And I was like, oh, he's all right. And then all of a sudden I just done my wind up and the ball shot to my left. I was like, oh shit, it's only hit him. And I don't know what was going on. I think I quit after. I was like, no, I'm not hitting anymore. But
not hitting at a driving range, but there's a recent game against, I believe, your sister. You had it around, and you might have potentially lost. This was last week, I think.
Yeah, it was against my girlfriend and brother.
Not your sister?
Nah, it was girlfriend and brother.
And I'm guessing you won, didn't you?
No, I think my brother won that
definitely
one.
Definitely not. Golf, not a great game. I always thought I was going to be a pretty good golfer. Then I went out, broke a few clubs, wasted my money, and then decided not to go again. A lot of the guys in their off time over in the States, I know Curdy does, a lot of the guys that play AFL, the off time, they're playing golf. Is it something that might interest you to get a little bit better at so you can come back?
No way, not a chance.
Don't have the patience for it.
No, I think last week I hit into a tree and then hit it again, didn't go that far. And my next one hit it straight into a tree, came back at me.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this shit, picked up the ball and threw it onto the green. And my girlfriend and brother thought I hit it. And I was like, yeah, I hit it. And then my girlfriend's like, I didn't hear it come off the club. I'm like, no, I threw it like, perfect on the green.
Yeah.
Just threw the trees on the green and then putted it. And I was like, yeah, hit that one.
Too good to be true. All right, last one. We're throwing back to the T-ball days. Left and right hand, depending on what glove you brought out. True?
Yeah, growing up, didn't know what hand I wanted to throw, so I had two gloves.
Two unco.
Yeah, well, growing up, I always wanted to be a switch hitter, hitting left and right, and then, yeah, every time I go to my nana's house, she brings up videos from when we were all kids, and there's a video of me in her backyard throwing left and right hand into my mum, and I was like, if only I was good at lefty, I would have probably signed for more, and yeah, would have been throwing harder.
Nah, it's pretty good though that you're still playing left and right. That's all I've got for you. You're lucky. There's probably a few more that you've escaped. Personally, the grandma, the nana one was my favourite. But it's been a pleasure, mate. You're an absolute star. For the last few years, I've sort of kept track of you, just like a lot of the guys that have been building their way up. I wish you all the best, San Diego. They're lucky they got you, snatched you up. But yeah, next year or two, just keep fighting and get on with it. And yeah, I'm sure we'll catch up very soon. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers, mate.